Hát meg zárva voltak a kipaszat boxokban.
Hello again, good morning race fans, here we are again on Red Bull Ring. My name is Jade Jacquet and we are ready for the final day of the racing action here on the opening weekend of the 2026 FIA Formula 4 Central European Zone Championship season. Here is the starting grid for the second race of the FIA F4 CEZ here in Austria, and we do have Max Karhan standing on the pole position, yesterday's runner-up in the first race behind Borenstein, who is missing on the grid this time because we do have the starting field divided into the three divisions. That's the new rule starting in 2026, which means Max Karhan is there on pole position next to Elia Weiss in P2, Simon Rechenmacher in P3 and Georgi Zasov in P4. These are the drivers on top four places on the starting grid before the second race of the FIA Formula 4 Central European Zone Championship here in Austria. We are in Spielberg, the home of Austrian Grand Prix, and we are ready for the start of the second race. The green flag is being shown and we are waiting for the signal. Yes, lights are out, and there was a poor start by Czech driver Max Karhan, who is losing his first place, which means Elia Weiss is the new race leader into the first corner. Yes, Elia Weiss is leading the way into the corner number one. Max Karhan, I believe, is in P2 at the moment now. It was a clean start. Some drivers are going off the track, but there was no contact, fortunately, so no need for a safety car or yellow flags. A nice battle, wheel to wheel into the third corner of Red Bull Ring, and I believe Max Karhan desperately wants to take his first place back. Nice battle between Max Karhan and Elia Weiss, wheel to wheel battle between these two teammates from Jenzer Motorsport here on Red Bull Ring during the opening lap of the second race of Formula 4 here in Austria. It's the first weekend of the 2026 campaign, and already we have some great battles on track. between the teammates, the German Elia Weiss fighting hardly the Czech driver Max Karhan, last year's runner-up, and I do believe that probably Max Karhan was able to retake his first position. Let's wait and see for the main straight, for the refresh of the live timing to have the exact order. We do have yellow flag at the turn number 6 for some reason, so most likely there is car off the track in the turn number 6, and I can see some slow going car on the track. Looks like one of Yannick Motorsport cars, but we will find out later. And we are on the main straight for the first time in this race. Max Karhan leads the way, so yesterday's runner-up now leading the way into the first corner and starting to climb up the hill into the third corner. Karhan leads the way ahead of Elia, Weiss, Simon Rechenmacher in P3, Georgi Zasov in P4. These are the top 4 drivers, but look at this battle for the first place. Elia Weiss is trying to find his way around the outside, around Max Karhan. Nice battle for the first place between the 2 teammates of Jenzer Motorsport, and I believe that Elia Weiss is the new race leader again. Great battle between Weiss and Karhan in the opening stages of the second race here on Red Bull Ring. With still 22.5 minutes to go. Great battle. Simon Rechenmacher there in P3 racing for Kram Motorsport. So it's a three-way battle for the first place between Karhan, Weiss and Rechenmacher. Zasov losing some time in P4. And I'm also looking for Mika Hakkinen. Yes, I mentioned yesterday that the daughter of 2-time Formula 1 World Champion Mika Hakkinen, Mika Hakkinen, is making her single-seaters debut here this weekend on Red Bull Ring. She started the race from P6 and right now she is in P9, so Mika Hakkinen is still fighting for the points here. The points are being awarded after each of 4 races each weekend this season, and we are awarding the points to the top 15 drivers at the end of each race. So Mika Hakkinen is still fighting for her maiden points in a single-seater racing. She switched from go-karting over the winter break. And this is her first step into single-seaters, and she's also racing for Jenzer Motorsport, just like Elia Weiss and Max Karhan, but you will always recognize her car because she's already racing in Papaya Orange, which means she is a member of Michalina Young Driver Development Program, which is of course a huge step for her, and I believe the next step would be also taking part in Formula 1 Academy, possibly next year, so let's wait and see what's the future for Mika Hakkinen here. But meanwhile, still Elia Weiss leading the way with 20 minutes and 50 seconds to go ahead of Max Karhan. There is almost no gap between these 2 racers driving for Jenzer Motorsport. Very typical blue and black colors of Jenzer Motorsport cars. That's what we are used to from previous seasons of the FIA Formula 4 Central European Zone Championship. The black and blue cars leading the way. This is the 4th season in the history of this series, and in previous 3 years, every time the team championship has been won by Jenzer Motorsport. So this is the most dominant team in the series. And Mr. Jenzer, who is also present here at Red Bull Ring, he only wants to continue this winning streak. So it would be really great for him and his team to make it 4 in a row at the end of 2026, but still a long way to go. This is only the first weekend of the season, and we saw some great battling between Mika Hakkinen and the other drivers. Huge lock-up done by Simon Rechenmacher into the 3rd corner, but he managed not to be so wide, so he didn't leave the track, but there has been a gap created between Rechenmacher and Karhan, which means we have only 2 drivers fighting each other for the first place now. Weiss in the lead, ahead of Karhan, Rechenmacher in P3. Behind him it is Zasov and Jorge Luis Bruno, one of the newcomers, in P5, ahead of Alexander Bogunovic. Mika Hakkinen in P7, but I believe that she is there in the battle with the other guys. including Bruno and Buganovic. So this could be a very, very good racing debut for only 15 years old Czech-Finnish racing girl. She's racing under the Czech flag because, of course, the half of her family is Czech, based close to Pilsen, actually. And again on the main straight, the 4 laps are done. We are entering the 5th lap of the race. Still Elia Weiss in the lead of the race. But last time around, Max Karhan has been the fastest. And now we are also looking at Elia Hakkinen in the orange and black car. This is the Papaya McLaren car entered by Jenzer Motorsport. Elia Hakkinen in P9 at the moment. And there are some tough battles between Elia Hakkinen and the other drivers. She is there in a huge group of cars, and it's the fight actually from P5 to P15 maybe. Almost 10 cars in one group, 10 drivers fighting each other for championship points. Andreas Lobue in P7. The young Swiss guy overtook a lot of other opponents, and he's making the progress through the field. This time, or this season, Andreas is racing for Renault Motorsport, so there has been switch from Mafia Racing from last year. But Andreas Lobue is one of the experienced guys this season, and he's there also with the Czech guy, David Gorčica, racing for Janik Motorsport in P8. Yes, and that's the great battle between the Czech guy, David Gorčica, and Elia Hakkinen driving the orange McLaren car in P9. So this must be exciting also for David Gorčica. But now here we can see Elia Hakkinen under pressure from Markus Šilkunas, the Lithuanian driver, the newcomer, and also her teammate from Jenzer Motorsport. Markus Šilkunas coming for Lithuania. And right now he is already ahead of Elia Hakkinen in a P9. And behind Elia Hakkinen, more great fighting between drivers. It's Ginevra Panzeri and Francesco Pio Coppola. Ginevra Panzeri right now in a P11, and she's also in second place if we speak only about women's trophy. Still, Elia Hakkinen leading the women classification in this race. But the Italian Ginevra Panzeri, she's not so far away from her, so possibly we are also going to watch a great battle for the first place in women's trophy in this race. With still 15 minutes to go. We are not at the halfway yet, so plenty of time to go. And I believe we are still going to witness some great racing between these two, between these young guns, young drivers. For many of them, it is the first step into single-seaters after go-karting career. Many of them are only 15 or 16 years old, so here we are at the beginning of their careers. And that's why this championship is actually so exciting, because you never know who from these drivers is going to make it into Formula 1 or into hypercars, possibly. We are watching the future stars of car racing, and it can't be more exciting, actually. We are trying to find the 4th ever champion of the FIA Formula 4 Central European Zone Championship. The first ever was Ethan Isher in 2023. Then we were celebrating Oscar Wurz. That was a big moment for the Austrian racing, because Oscar Wurz took the championship title in 2024 on the home soil on Salzburg Ring after a thrilling final battle. And last year it was Gino Trappa winning the title for himself, for Jenzer Motorsport, and also for Argentina. I believe many of you remember the exciting season final which took place in Brno on Masaryk circuit last year, and it was everything about the battle for the first place in the championship between Gino Trappa and Max Karhan. Speaking of whom, here we are again with Max Karhan trying to put Elia Weiss under pressure. For the last 14 minutes of the race, Max Karhan again is getting closer and closer to his opponent. It reminds me yesterday's race, where Max Karhan was in a similar position actually, because he was trying to chase down Theodor Borenstein, his new teammate in Jenzer Motorsport. And actually he did not succeed in the final stages of the race, and he finished in P2, but this time he desperately wants to win this race. As you can see here, it's a close battle for the first place again between Elia Weiss and Max Karhan. And now we are going into the fourth corner. It's the back straight of Red Bull Ring, and Karhan is trying to find his way, maybe round the outside, but not this time. Also, we see some good defensive driving from Elia Weiss. It's lovely to watch. Great driving by these two youngsters. Max Karhan is enjoying the time with his family here on Red Bull Ring. There was some family barbecue yesterday evening after the first day of racing action of the 2026 season. So Max Karhan has everybody he needs around him here in Austria, which is also, of course, very important for him, for his inner peace and racing mentality. Now it will be another chance for the Czech driver in the battle for the first place, into the first corner and climb up into the corner number 3. Karhan just closely behind Weiss. Now he needs to use the slipstream. This is the MotoGP chicane, not being used by the cars or single-seaters here on Red Bull Ring. And here we are in the third corner. And Max Karhan, actually, he's doing also a very good job, because he is patient. He is building up his position for the attack, trying to get as close as possible to Elia Weiss. But still no space left for Max Karhan. It's a great driving from both drivers, Elia Weiss and Max Karhan. Weiss very good in defense right now. And Max Karhan just needs to be clever. He needs to read his opponent and find a best place for overtaking if he wants to win this race. Still plenty of time, still 11 minutes to go. We are being informed about multiple warning flags for track limits, but it does not contain these leading drivers. So far it should be safe for Weiss and Karhan. And the truth is that also Simon Rechenmacher is not so far away. And if these two drivers are going to fight each other hardly, it will also be a chance for Simon Rechenmacher to get closer and possibly join the fight for the first place. So I believe 10 exciting minutes ahead of us right now. Behind these top 3 drivers, it's still Georgi Zasov in P4, Jorge Luis Bruno in P5, Andreas Lebue in P6. Behind him, the Czech driver racing for Yannick Motorsport, David Gorčica in P7, Markas Šilkunas in P8, Francesco Pio Coppola in P9, and the Mika Hakkinen, the Czech Finnish driver, in P10 at the moment. Still in the mix, still in the fight for at last P5. It's a large group of drivers. We do have a warning flag for the car number 52 for abusing the track limits, but it's Mio Ollert, currently lapping in P24, so he is not in the mix for the championship points. And also warning flag for Samuel Ivanov, at the moment in P23. So these two drivers need to be careful till the checkered flag if they want to avoid a penalty for constant abusing of track limits. So maybe now another chance for Max Karhan, using the slipstream behind Elia Weiss with 9 minutes to go. Weiss being defensive, keeping the inside line, not giving a chance to Karhan for overtaking. Good job done by Weiss, but the fight is not over yet. Now Karhan maybe closer than ever before, trying to find his way round the outside. It's a wheel-to-wheel battle between Weiss and Karhan for the first place on Red Bull Ring, but again, not this time. Still Weiss keeping the inside line, and that's the crucial... Oh no, there was a hard crash. It's one of the Mafia cars, number 14. So who is that? It's Nikolai Dirwet, experienced Danish driver Nikolai Dirwet, destroyed his car. There was some hard fight possibly between Dirwet and some of the other drivers. We do have a double yellow at turn number 1 at the pit out, yes. So it's the first sector of the racetrack. And also we can see yellow and red flag for some fluids on the track. So this might be a problem for the rest of the race, and possibly we will have a safety car. Let's wait and see. Okay, here we see the crash. It was actually a hard hit to the barriers on the right-hand side of the racetrack. The car of Nikolai Dirwet. Oh no, he crashed into the car ahead of him, so it was most likely a mistake done by the young Danish driver here. So still yellow flags at the turn number 1. And yes, we do have a safety car. Yes, safety car deployed. I was talking about this possibility, and it seems only logical to me to have a safety car on track in such a moment, because apparently there are some fluids also on the track, which means the race has to be neutralized. And again, it's a great relief to see Nikolai Dirwet out of the car, walking away, but you can see how upset he is with what happened on the track. He can't be happy, not really. Another nasty accident this weekend here on Red Bull Ring. We've already seen some hard crashes yesterday in the first race of Clio Cup Bohemia, and this was another dramatic situation with Nikolai Dirwet crashing into the car in front of him and then spinning out, making the contact with a barrier, losing the front wing, destroying the front right suspension, as you can see here. So this is not a great moment for Mafia Racing, not a great moment for Nikolai Dirwet. Very, very unfortunate situation, actually. It's also a problem for the whole race weekend if we speak about the chances of Nikolai Dirwet for taking a part in the final 4th race of the weekend, because this season we do have this new rule. We have 4 races each weekend, but the final race of the weekend is there only for the top 32 drivers based on the points awarded in the first 3 races. And if you take no points from one of the 2 races you take part in, it could be a huge problem for you if you also want to race in the final race, because we do have the racing field divided into the 3 groups. The first race, which we saw yesterday, is dedicated to the groups A and B. The second race we are watching right now is for groups B and C, and the third race is for groups A and C. So you just need to take as much points as possible from the 2 races you take a part in to have your best chance to be qualified for the final 4th race of the weekend. And if you crash out like Nikolai Dirwet did, your chances are not high, let's say, for being in the final race. So this is not a good news for Mafia Racing and for Nikolai Tyrvet. Safety car still on the track with 4 minutes to go, and we just need to wait and see if we are going to have some more green racing in this second race of the first weekend of the 2026 FIA Formula 4 Central European Zone Championship. The Tyrvet's car has been already loaded on the track. Now it is going to leave the track, and the track driver will bring the destroyed Mafia Racing car back to the paddock. So I believe we have a good chance for at last one clean lap. One lap under the green flags before the checkered flag. Again, the track marshals here on Red Bull Ring are doing really well job. These guys are very much experienced, and everybody likes Red Bull Ring also because of the staff. Very well trained, of course, not only for the Central European Zone Championship, but also for Formula 1 and MotoGP races, and also for DTM, which will take place here in just 2 weeks. Yes, the DTM season opener is also scheduled for Red Bull Ring for the late April, so the racing calendar here in Styria is pretty much busy, I would say. Actually, the pre-season testing of DTM is starting here on Red Bull Ring just next week, so the track still has a busy schedule. Actually, I've already met some DTM team members in the paddock this weekend. For example, greetings to Pavel Nahodil from ML Frey Racing, who is there to support his friend Max Karhan, but also preparing the much needed stuff for his team ML Frey Racing for the start of DTM season here on Red Bull Ring, because ML Frey is in DTM to race with the Ferraris, so it's great to also meet a good friends in the paddock. It's one big racing family, isn't it? I believe it is. So 1 minute to go, and I'm afraid. Oh no, I was just about to say that this race might end behind the safety car, but it is not the case. Safety car in this lap. So ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready for the final lap of the action. With less than 40 seconds to go, I believe we are going to witness a restart of this race, and it will be a proper final showdown in the second race of the FIA Formula 4 Central European Zone Championship here on Red Bull Ring. The first race weekend of 2026 campaign, and it can't be more exciting. Elia Weiss versus Max Karhan, that will be the fight for the first place. With 30 seconds to go, we are waiting for the racing field. We are waiting for the green flag to be shown at the main straight. Weiss, Karhan, Rechenmacher, Zasov, Jorge Luis Bruno, Lobue, Gorčica, Pio Coppola, Hakkinen and Šilkunas. These are the top 10 drivers as it stands now. With 10 seconds to go, this will be the final lap, and it will be a proper final showdown of the second race here on Red Bull Ring. So let's follow it closely. Elia Weiss leading the way and now picking up the pace into the first corner, and there is Karhan under pressure from Simon Rechenmacher. This is a tough situation for Karhan. Yes, Simon Rechenmacher is taking the second place, but no, I believe this was it the finish of the race, or now we are in the last lap? I believe we do the checkered flag already, because we do have a last lap sign in the graphics. But after all, no, it was the last lap behind the safety car, so most likely the race has ended. Yes, you can see the slow pace of the cars. Okay, so no, so the race has ended behind the safety car after all. Well, it's a bit pity. We were excited to see the final showdown. But the race has ended, which means Elia Weiss is the race winner. So many congratulations to Elia Weiss, but I believe that some drivers were a bit confused. Because you saw, just like I saw, Simon Rechenmacher trying to attack Max Karhan. And I believe he was convinced that he is still racing. Wow. Well, that was a bit strange situation, let's say, but we can confirm that Elia Weiss is your race winner of race number 2 here on Red Bull Ring. The track marshals are already saying goodbye to the drivers with waving all the flags they have. So Elia Weiss is the race winner. He won the race ahead of his teammate Max Karhan, which means it is another 1-2 finish for Jenzer Motorsport here on Red Bull Ring. Simon Rechenmacher in P3, Georgi Zasov in P4, Jorge Luis Bruno taking P5 ahead of Andreas Labue in P6. 7th place goes to David Gorczyca, Francesco Pio Coppola in P8, Mika Hakkinen in P9. Good first race in single-seaters for the daughter of Mika Hakkinen, finishing in P9. Markas Šilkunas in P10. Stefan Treneski, another experienced racer from F4 CEZ in P11. 12th place for Antonio Errigo. 13th place for Ginevra Panzeri. 14th place for Agustin Sepulveda. And P15 for Erik Poulsen. Also carrier of very famous racing name. I believe you remember Christian Poulsen from Le Mans, for example. So these are the top 15 drivers from the second race of the FIA Formula 4 Central European Zone Championship here on Red Bull Ring. And speaking of Formula 4, we are going to continue with race number 3 at 1:15 p.m. later this afternoon. And the final race will take place at 4:10 p.m. today. Next up will be the GT Cup Series, the first sprint race of the season, starting at 10 hours and 10 minutes, so in 1 hour from now. And I only must say thank you to all of you for joining us on Sunday morning, and make sure you are also joining us later today for the final races of the weekend. Thank you very much.